Well, again, thank you guys for joining me tonight. I'm doing something different, and my attempt is to put this on Facebook Live and stream it. I tried it last week with YouTube, and for some reason, YouTube removed the video. I don't know why. So, uh, we got to try to do something different every week. Conversation about scripts. The reason I set this up is I just wanted an informal place where we could all get together and talk about, what's happening in our business, any frustrations that we have. We can talk about that and just kind of air it out. It's a very low key meeting. As you guys can see, I've already poured my Nika whiskey. I'm set up in my basement studio, and I'm just prepared to bring value and answer questions and see how I can best help you guys and what's been going on in your business that we can all talk about. So I guess I'll start there. I just wanna ask you guys, how's it going in this quarantine world that we're living in? How are you guys doing? How's your business? What's up?
Well, I've got a closing on Monday, which is really really cool,
Okay.
and especially it's whatchamacallit, it's a contingency closing.
Okay.
So the buyer's finally was all set to go with his house, and now we're ready to close on Monday,
That's awesome.
and I know I'm gonna be leveraging that by sending out the just sold cards and following up on that with Billy's program. I actually have a couple that I've sent out. I have some that I sent out before with the
Okay.
just listed that I'm following up with, on a not a regular basis, but more like every few weeks. And now tomorrow I'm going to be making a call to them just to kind of let them know that we're about to close, not the price, but about to close.
Okay.
Hopefully get a couple of those in.
That's awesome, man. Congrats on the closing. And
Thanks.
what's interesting, man? So nowadays we aren't going to closings because of the quarantine. And for years I've listened to agents throughout the country who have always said, I don't do open houses, I don't go to my inspections, I don't go to my closings, I don't need to be there for that. And there was always so much pushback in the real estate world. Like, what do you mean you don't go to your closings? You need to be there for your clients.
Yep.
Well, now we're at a point where we can't go. And so I'm just kind of curious, Seth, and anyone else on this call, moving forward, when we do lift the quarantine, are you guys still going to go to your closings, or are you going to leverage that and spend that time doing other activities?
I think it would depend on the client.
Okay.
Like my sellers rarely ever go to the closing.
True.
So, I think there are times where I do go because I just have the key, but then I realize, okay, I just have the key.
Mm.
And I work with an attorney that's basically said, like, I've had a couple of closings and seller closings with them, and it's like, well, you really don't need to be there.
Okay.
So I could actually do other things. It's actually going to be quite odd just being in my 450 square foot apartment, and all of a sudden this bell comes on. It's like, you have cash.
Hey, I'll take it all day.
I'll take that rather than a check. It's
I hear you. How about the rest of you guys? Is that something you will continue doing, like going to closings?
I had a closing on. Sorry, go ahead, Hazel.
No, I think I actually love going to closing in a way that, especially for first time buyers, it's exciting and you want to give them a hug. And, that's what I'm going to miss the most is that feeling where they're excited, they're holding the key and giving them a hug. I don't want to take that away from my way of doing business, but it's going to be a while before we can go back to that and give them a hug. So for now, I don't know, maybe just keep doing what we're doing like this until we can hug each other again. That's the point of going to closings.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel, because I feel that, I like taking them out to lunch beforehand. I like to take them to the closing, try to get not talk about referrals or anything like that, just to show them that it wasn't all about the money. But, I'm like, this is on me, this is what I know about this town, like give them some tips. If they don't, just kind of like, try to make a friend, really, you know. And
Okay.
then of course, I have the gift at the end of closing. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like I was trying to get as well as have them write a review, but that never works out. So they always write the review after everything, after a month or two later. But the actual being there for them. Of course, if I'm a listing agent, I wouldn't go to the closing if I'm a buyer.
So a couple of things, man, that you just mentioned, I want to touch on. So to get them to write the review, sometimes it does take time. And I know, you and I have talked, Raj, and I know you're working a lot more with video. I want you to feel comfortable telling your clients right before closing, hey, after closing, I'm going to ask you to do like a 30-second, video about how you like working with me and how the experience went, and do a video. You get your own testimonial via video that you can then share and post to your website and post that on your YouTube channel, wherever you post it. Take control of that. And then also remember, there are several times throughout the transaction when your people are really, really, really happy with you. At the closing table is typically one of them. And that's a time that you should be asking for a referral. Like, hey, I really enjoyed working with you. And typically, other people just like you. So who should I be talking to that that wants to buy a house or wants to sell a house that I should be talking to today? This is when you do need to be asking for referrals at the closing table or right before or after closing.
Yeah, because all they're thinking about is their massive to-do list once they walk out of the attorney's office, everything they need to do to pack and move and all that. And to get them after they walk out of the attorney's office is like you'll get them, but it takes a month. It takes 2 months.
I know it does. It definitely does.
So yeah, agree with you.
Get them while you have them, man. They're right there. So I
Mhm.
mean, I have made friends with people I help sell homes to and buy homes to. However, I'm not trying to really, make any new friends. This is business, and I treat my clients with respect. I stay in touch. I reach out and I talk to them, and I do build rapport with them. To me, it's not about making a new friend. So, but I hear you. If that's what you're doing, nothing against that. But for me, it's just giving them the service and doing my job. And part of your job is asking for those referrals.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yep.
Definitely.
So, what else is going on?
My closing got postponed to another 20 days. It was supposed to be on Monday. And
Okay.
so, but I'm okay with that. It's going to go through.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who's a real estate agent, and I was talking about this right before the call started. Freak, I gotta mute you. I'm sorry. um, we were talking about done is better than perfect. You guys all know what I mean when I say that, right? There are
Yeah.
so many agents on this call right now and agents that I've been talking to who are, just getting ready to get ready. And there's so many things that we know we need to be doing in our business and in our personal life. And we just aren't taking action. We feel like we have to be perfect at it and we have to know exactly what we're doing. And I just wanted to get you guys' thought on done is better than perfect. And although we may not be at 100%, should we be taking action and doing things that are going to make us better in our daily lives and also better in our business, even if it's not at a perfect performance right now? How do you guys feel about that?
Well, I think you're right. It's right. I mean, right now it's almost like when you say, don't practice on your paycheck.
Hmm.
It's almost now you kind of have to because it's a different. It's not like there's any real. I mean, there are scripts to go through,
Yeah,
but how do you kind of incorporate what's happening today into your conversation, into the scripts that you're using to, so when you say like, it's got to, just like done, not perfect. If you wait till you're perfect, this whole thing's going to be over,
right, right.
and other people are going to be already doing what they, already into doing what they need to do.
That's right. Or those people are going to end up listing with someone else if you feel like you need to know the perfect script, if you feel like you need to know how to overcome every objection handler. By the time you call those people, they're like, "Sorry, I just listed with somebody else, last week. I'm listed already." So sometimes it's better to call because they may not even give you an objection. They might just say, "I'm done. I'm tired. What can you do to help me?" And
Mhm.
just because you called, you're able to create an opportunity. However, if you sit there and wait until it's perfect, you may not get the opportunity. I mean, even today, like for me, one second, Teresa, I'll get right to you. To post this live on Facebook, you don't know how many times I'm like, let me do it. I'm not quite ready. I got to make sure the lighting's right. Is it good? Is the sound quality good? And I just said, you know what? I've been telling everybody done is better than perfect. So just hit the button and go live. And guess what? If it's not perfect, that's okay. I can always delete it. However, it's better that I have it out there because for me, if one person listens to a video I do or a class I have and they walk away and it helps them get better, if it helps one person, for me, that's good enough. So it doesn't have to be great for the masses. It has to be great for that one person. So I had to take my own advice there. That's for sure. Teresa, I'm going to move over and unmute you because it looks like you had a question. I think I saw your hand go up. So let me just, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, to your point, done is far better than perfect. I definitely have run to be a perfectionist, and Ryan has certainly helped me with that. But to your point, I signed on Eventbrite. For all those who don't know, there's a few realtors that are doing virtual tours through Eventbrite, which is probably one of the platforms you'll use as well. And for 2 weeks, I've been waiting to see this virtual tour. It's from a real estate group that's renowned in Maryland, the Tamika Kwong group or something like that. And they got all this media and marketing, pumping it up. I get there today at 4, and it's a simple Zoom meeting that they're doing showing the house. It's nothing phenomenal. So I'm
Right.
like, if this top group is doing that, and I know I'm very technologically savvy, what is stopping us? Because we're going to produce the same type of content, if not better,
Right.
because of our skill set.
Okay.
What?
I think you're absolutely right on that. I so agree with you.
Ryan says Sundin Group is the best. We're becoming that.
All right, Ryan.
So, yeah. So I'd say done is far better than perfect. Definitely.
Awesome. So I see so many people. I just realized on this back page, there are Biliana's here, Mina, Maria, Danny, Ariane, Sylvia, Tara, Michelle. What else can we be talking about? What else you guys want to chop it up about? No? Okay. I'll take it and run with it. So, um, I set this call up again. It's really no pressure here. What I want to do is just kind of talk with you guys. I did want to share something that came up this week in Push on Tuesday. We're learning the listing presentation, as most of you guys know, and I found it really interesting that a majority of the class, what we ended up doing is role playing and really talking through that commission objection that we get. And I realized just by reviewing the video how many people were like plugged into that conversation and really have a challenge defending their commission and really seeing the value that they bring and why someone would pay them 6% or 5.5 or 5% commission. And I find that really interesting because we do so much work. The value that we bring a seller when we do our job correctly is huge. And I find it hard that, number one, a lot of us don't believe that we're worth it. So that's a separate conversation. And then the ones who do believe that they're worth it, we are not fighting. We're not fighting for our commission. And so I just wanted to tell you guys a quick story that happened to me that really made me understand that I need to fight for my commission. So I always tell you guys to wear a name tag. Don't be a secret agent. So I always had name tags. And for those of you who don't know, there's a company called houseofmagnets.com. I don't know what the current prices are, but you used to be able to order 5 name tags, different sizes, shapes, and colors for about $20, and then the shipping was $3 or $4. It's very inexpensive. So I had a name tag in my car, my wife's car, in my bag, everywhere. I always had on a name tag. So I was living back in Dallas, and I dropped my daughter off at school, and one of the fathers, we were kind of talking and saying hello, and he saw my name tag and he said, "Oh, you're a real estate agent." I'm like, "Yeah, I work for Keller Williams in Coppell." And he said, "I have my house on the market. It's not selling. And I wanted to know if you wanted to give me your opinion on what I need to do." So, of course, you're asking me. Yes, I'd love to give you my opinion. So I actually set up an appointment with him and his wife to go see the property. And between him talking to me at school and me meeting with him, they had called their agent and canceled the contract. So he was not in contract with anyone. And so he actually had me out to present to them on what I would do. And so at this point in time, I was still saying 6%. I was always the 6% agent. I just didn't always fight for my commission. And so at the time, this would have been one of the biggest houses I've ever sold, the highest commission I've ever been paid on a house. And so when I went to present to them and they asked me my commission, I told them it was 6%. And I had commission breath. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I wanted the money. I'm like, this is a huge deal. If I get this deal, like, this is it. And so the husband and wife looked at each other, and the wife was like, you know, our other agent was 5%, so we're looking to stay at 5. And immediately I was like, okay, I can do 5. And they signed the paperwork. And so as they were signing the paperwork, their kids came down and the wife got occupied. And the husband was like, hey, let me holler at you outside real quick. So we went outside and we were talking, looking at their backyard. And he said, I was really surprised that you went from 6 to 5. I thought you might negotiate a little bit. And I was like, fuck, I blew that, right? I mean, this is the seller telling me we were expecting to pay you more and you just dropped and went down to 5. And after that, I'm like, first time, shame on me, right? It's never going to happen again. So after he told me that, and I realized maybe I could have gotten 6, but I definitely could have gotten 5.5 or 5 3/4. And here the seller is telling me, like, we expected you to negotiate. Why are you just dropping down to 5? That stuck with me for a long time. And since then, when I tell you I started reading scripts and learning how to defend my commission, I will not lower my commission unless, like, I really want the listing. They're willing to price it right. They will not budge. That's the only time I'll lower my commission. Other than that, I'm fighting for it each and every time. Yeah, he was actually, so the husband was a ear, nose, and throat doctor, and he was in charge of the hospital. And his wife, she was also some type of surgeon. They were both doctors, really savvy, really good people. Raymond, great question. Thanks for asking. But shame on me for not fighting for my commission. So you guys all know me well, and I'm always on you guys about, know yourself, know your worth, and fight for your commission. Like, these people are hiring us as salespeople. They expect us to negotiate. And so if we can't negotiate our income, and I always tell you guys this, how are we going to negotiate the best deal for them? And so fight for it. We work hard. Would you guys agree with that? I mean, I know I work hard. You guys work hard?
It's interesting. It's like when the biggest wake up call would be when you get the HUD statement or the closing document at the end. All of a sudden, it's like, you start at 6%, you go, okay, I'll take 5%. And you realize at the end, you look at their closing statement, and they're walking out of there with $230,000.
They walked out with more than that, Seth. I mean,
no, I know. No, I know.
Right.
But I'm saying, you look at the number and you go, why did I do that?
I know. And the biggest thing is you start lowering your commission, and then they want you to lower, if the deal's not coming together and you're a couple $1,000s apart, they want you and the other agent to chip in to make the deal work.
Inspection
items come in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And they'll be like, I'm not giving anything. And then it's like $2,000 and it's a $700,000 home.
I know.
Like, you give $600, I'll give another 6, and they'll win.
Yep. So Raj, what I'll tell you about that, man, an agent mentor of mine told me at one point in time, you are getting paid a commission to do a job. Your job is to market that property and find them a buyer. So if another agent brings a buyer in, you're splitting your commission. You're paying them for doing their job, and you've done your job. When the seller says to you, will you chip in to make this deal work? You say to them, my commission is not part of the negotiation. If you want more money, there are a couple of things we can do. We can go back to them and get them to up their price. And if they choose not to, we can put the house back on the market. Which one would you like to do? Like, it's not even an option to get out of my pocket. Like, you can't even come over here. I've done my job. And so when he said that to me, I was like, yeah, that's true. And if a seller's going to let a deal go over a $200 dishwasher, really? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's easier to do it with the seller. The buyer is harder because if you're working with a buyer for a while and they're like, we're just going to go back to renting if they're not putting up a few $100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That comes down to, though, to pre-qualifying the buyers and making sure you're dealing with people who are serious. Because someone who would go back to renting over a couple $100s or a couple $1,000s, how motivated are they really? I don't know. I mean, it depends on the buyer. But I've had some hard lessons, man, around commission, and have learned, don't give it up. Don't give it up. How do you guys feel about that? Why are you guys so quiet today? What the heck is going on?
Because we're on live. No, I'm kidding.
Trying to play it safe, Hazel?
Yeah, I'm not saying anything.
You got the scotch, they got the vodka.
Hold on, let me take a sip.
Of others on here.
Hey, pour some more of that bottle in there and loosen those lips up. Because normally,
Live on
I can count on you. I can count on you to have some really good questions. That's for sure.
No, I mean, I don't. But there are agents that negotiate with their sellers, and then they try to dig into the buyer's agent pocket. That's another.
Oh, I've had that.
Yeah.
I've had that where a seller's agent comes to me and says, well, we need to split whatever that's down the middle here, 5, whatever it was. And I said, no, because it's, I said, look, it's up to the seller to do that. And this is the seller's responsibility. I said,
Yep.
if you want to do it, that's for you to decide. But I already promised that. I said, I don't care what you promised.
That's right.
I didn't promise it.
I had a seller's agent yesterday. So my buyers had went to see this home at an open house. Someone was still living there. They wanted to go back when the tenant when all their stuff was out. So they said they had an agent. The agent contacted them on Saturday, and he said, the home is vacant. You can come and see it. He said, okay, we'll let our agent know. He's like, oh, you have an agent? They're like, yes, we told you that. We gave you her card, whatever. Sorry.
It's all good. Look, we get it. No worries.
So that agent, like I said, called him on Saturday. He said, the home is vacant. You can come and see it. So he said, have your agent call me. So I called him yesterday and said, my clients are interested in seeing this home. And he goes, oh, the tenant's still there. He's still living there. We're not showing the home anymore.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, so when is he moving out? Oh, I don't know anymore. He's, because of the coronavirus, things have changed. So I'm like, this guy's lying to me. But I wanted to make sure. So I was like, okay, I'll touch base with you. When he goes, okay, I'll let you know. So I call my client and I said, so he said that the tenant moved out, correct? Yes, and we could see the home. He's like, so I told him what he told me. He said, hang on a minute. He called the agent up and said, so you called me and said we could see the home and the tenant was gone. He's like, yes. He goes, well, my agent just called you and you told her otherwise, that the tenant was still living there and you were not doing any showings. He's like, so what is the case? The agent literally was like, tripping over his words.
Coaching.
Yeah. So
Coaching.
like, oh, I just said that, he didn't know what to say. He's like, the tenant stuff is still there. We're going to give him some more time. Yeah.
Wow.
Still lying.
Yeah, still lying. So we're supposed to go on Monday, and I'm supposed to check in with him. So to be continued. But I couldn't.
Good for you, Tara.
Yeah.
Well, and I was going to call him after and just be like, you told my clients that it was vacant, but he beat me to it. He was like, no, this isn't happening.
Right.
It was good because then we were both on the phone and he couldn't bullshit anyone at that point. So.
Right. And you know what, Tara? I had the same thing, but it was before COVID-19. And we went all the way to Passaic, and it was a 2-family home. And the realtor's standing there, and she's like, "Oh, I can't get in. I can't get in." And there were people in the apartment, and they would not open the door.
Wow.
You go through these things.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Well, that was my first of like someone being slimy. I know I'm going to come across it.
First of many, Tara.
Oh yeah.
I know. So I
You're
was
gonna
like,
have some stories, that's for sure. And speaking of stories, I hope that you're on the call tomorrow on the Morning Mindset call, because we're doing, share some stories. And last time we had some fun stories, some scary stories. So I want everybody on here to just kind of stories you've heard, things you've experienced, to get on that Morning Mindset call tomorrow and share, because I really enjoyed last week's call. I see.
I actually did listen to that, and I was like putting my kid to bed with earbuds in, listening to it, just laughing at your story about the shower. Was it the shower?
Yes. Yes. I have another bathroom story for tomorrow, so I'll save it until tomorrow.
Oh God.
I know, right? I know. So one thing I wanted to say, Seth mentioned that this agent was trying to take some of his commission. Like, I need you to go in on this deal. One thing that I've learned is that if you lead generate, Raj, what is it? If you lead generate,
you don't
tolerate.
You don't have to tolerate.
So like, if you have a deal going and you don't have anything else in your pipeline, you might dip into your commission to make this work. If you have other deals going and other commission that's coming, you're going to say, you know what? Absolutely not. You lead generate so you don't have to tolerate that. And so we have to have a pipeline filled. If we are running this business like a business, we should have a listings needed form. We should know at all times how many listings or transactions we need to have in order to hit our goals. And if we're working our business like that, we're going to have enough people in our pipeline that if one deal goes south, we're going to be okay. I want your standard in your business to be that you don't reduce your commission, that you don't go into your pocket to make a deal work. It's not your house. They're hiring you to do one job. If you do that job, that's how you earn your commission. Your job is not to constantly be going in your pocket and contributing to this seller selling their house or this buyer buying a house. That's not your job. So that's why I'm so big on push, training people how to make calls and use scripts and overcome objections, because I know if you have enough sales in your pipeline, enough leads in your pipeline, you don't have to put up with people like that. Sellers and buyers that are being jerks and assholes and treating you bad, people who are trying to take your commission or get you to contribute to a deal, you can just pass up on that. You don't have to deal with that. So we lead generate so we don't have to tolerate. Right?
Yep.
All right.
Hey David, can I pick your brain at something I got hung up on with Raymond yesterday?
Okay, let's have it. What's up?
So Raymond and I did our case study, and I did the son is selling parents' condo and living off there.
Yes, off the
and
equity.
One of the things is that he wanted an open house every week.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I stumbled on that before COVID, right? Let's say this COVID is not going on.
COVID free. And he said, I want you, as part of, if I list with you, I want you to do an open house every week.
Yeah. What I think I said something like, do you know what the percentage of homes that actually sell due to as a result of an open house? I don't know if I asked him, but I think I just told him.
And what is it?
I don't know. I made up a number, 2%, 1%. Okay, I said 2. I stumbled on that one. I was like, I said, if you want me to do an open house every week, okay, I can do that. However, wouldn't you rather that I do things that are more effective in order to sell your house?
Well, what are some questions that we can ask a seller? Because there are sellers who want that. If someone said to us, hey, I want you to do an open house every week, what are some questions that we can ask them?
Why is that important?
That's it. Mm-hmm. Why is having an open house every weekend important to you?
Maybe they want to minimize the number of showings during the week and have everybody come on the weekend.
So I asked that question and Raymond said, well, because I want more exposure.
Mm-hmm. Exposure to who?
Raymond.
I mean, because I would actually, I would say, Raymond, so you want more exposure. Who do you want the exposure to be?
Uh, for the, I want as many buyers as possible who can walk through my house, plus the neighbors to notice that, my house is really on sale and, advertise it that way in my own neighborhood.
Yeah, so Raymond, you're hiring me and paying me to do a job, and I know that I could hold open houses for you every weekend, absolutely. However, I know most of those people who come through, they're just kicking tires, and they're not going to be the person who buys your house. So, would you rather have me doing an open house every weekend, or actually marketing your home where the buyers are looking? Do you know what I mean by that?
I know what you mean by that, but it's a numbers game at the same point. The more exposure, more people come in and see, there is going to be a fish which is going to bite the hook.
I so agree with you. So, if I can show you that my marketing plan will expose it to more people, would you agree to do it my way?
We can give it a try, sure.
Okay, then I'm going to show you, because if I'm doing it and I'm marketing and using my marketing dollars to run ads on Facebook and target people who are looking to buy in your town for your type of house, I'm going to get more eyeballs on your house than holding a freaking open house every Sunday. And I can show you that because I run ads and I see how many people look at my ads. So I would just push back on that and say, if that's what you want is the exposure, then you definitely want me spending my time doing what I do to market property. And that's, virtually running open houses on Facebook, running ads on Facebook. That's going to get more people in your house, more people who can afford to pay for your home than me just doing an open house every Sunday. And I will tell you, Haza, if he is someone that wants open houses every Sunday, and that's what I have to do to get the listing, I may agree to that, with the caveat being, I will not be the person doing the open houses. If you want someone here doing open house, I can arrange that. I won't be the person. And as long as they're okay with that, there are plenty of agents who will go out and do the open house. And I don't care if they keep the leads, and if they get the buyer, they keep the commission. I'm just not going to spend my Sundays running an open house every week.
I think I was just worried about the follow up. Like, then why do you do an open house at all? If you're saying that only 1% of buyers that walk in would buy, then why do it at all?
Yeah, that's a good question. Why don't we just cancel that open house and I'll just do the broker? Like, I don't necessarily know. And I think we're going to start realizing in this COVID world that we're living in that it's not even as important as we always thought it was. There's a better way to do it.
I think in the case study, he wanted to overprice the house anyway. So, and I just kind of went into the having an open house week after week after week, and your house is overpriced. It's just opening up doors for buyers to look at your home and compare it to the next, home. And it's going to help them buy your neighbor's home instead, because
Exactly.
they're going to see that you're overpriced. So I think that's where I went, and and then I stopped. I was like, I gotta ask David if that's the correct thing to say.
No, I think you're right, because you are helping the other home sell.
Right.
People,
Okay.
agents are going to come see your home and they're going to say, "Hey, I got this house at 550. I can take you right down the street and sell you a similar home that's priced at 500." So you're absolutely right. Teresa, what's up? I see your hands raised.
Yes, pivoting a little bit, but it's still in the realm of, scripts, etc. These people who have, when you're making these calls, expireds, for sale by owners, what have you, don't contact me. We have someone sick in the family. Our priorities are on that right now. We don't even want to talk to agents. Because I initially thought this was a condition. I had been following up somebody in New Milford before this COVID happened, and he kept saying, "Oh, we have somebody sick in the hospital, and don't contact us." 3 weeks later, they're listed with a different agent. And
Okay.
I kept following up, but I'm just wondering, how do you get through that objection if it really is an objection and not a condition?
Yeah, I was going to say that one's kind of tough, because it could potentially be a condition. Like right now, we have someone sick in the hospital. And
Right.
so right now, we're not interested in talking to an agent. Now,
Right.
there could have been someone who just picked up the phone and on a random day called that seller, and things were okay with their family member, and they got into a conversation and they ended up listening with that person. And so
Mhm.
my question would be, other than calling them and following up, what other follow up did you do with them?
with that particular one, I did drop by the house. I door knocked. They had tenants living there. This obviously was before COVID. I did send one letter. It wasn't a strategized form of follow-up. With one woman, she had said her daughter was sick. I actually dropped her off a, what's it called? Edible arrangements package, which she thanked me for, and we're still in conversation.
Okay.
So I'm thinking of out of the box kinds of ways to reach out to these people and let them know we're not just regular realtors. Like, we care about people, and we want to open up that dialogue with you when it's time, but we want to at least have a seat at the table and for you to know us. So how to get into that relationship building even while they may have a crisis going on.
I think that's what you say. And I've always said that to people, like, listen, I know you have a lot going on right now. You're not ready to meet with me. I want to make sure when you're ready, you remember me. So I'm going to stay in touch with you so I stay top of mind. Now, here's where the strategy comes in my opinion, Teresa. A lot of agents just kind of make the phone calls and they follow up. It's not systematic. It's not every week. But let's say your systematic follow-up was every week. It can't just be phone calls. So in this day and age, we have to make phone calls. We have to text. We have to send emails. We have to send letters. If you want to do a pop by and do the thing we were talking about for Easter, just checking in on my peeps. How's your family member doing? There has to be several different layers of follow-up if you really want the business, because sometimes the phone calls aren't enough. And if you aren't following up systematically with the phone calls and you skip that 1 week, that 1 week is when that other agent calls and gets the listing. So we have to be really disciplined and have a plan. When I tell you, Teresa, I used Top Producer when I was really making these calls, and I had a plan set up. First day I would call them, they got a letter. Next week, I would send a letter, then I would call them. I would send an email, then I would call them. I would send a letter, and then I would call them week after week after week after week for 8 weeks straight. And after that, if they still hadn't listed their house with someone or they didn't give me a shot, it went to once a month. They got a letter from me and I would call, a letter and I would call. And it was just systematic and it was time on task, doing that week after week after week and then month after month after month. When people are ready, they think of me. And so I think that's kind of where a lot of times we mess up, is that we don't have the systematic follow-up in place.
Have more varied follow-up. Excellent. Thank you.
I have to say, hi.
Hey, Tracy, what's up?
Nothing. I want to say that I totally agree in that, that mentality as far as the follow-up. And I've had a couple of examples. One where I met someone at an open house. I told this story already, I think, but I met someone at an open house in July, and he called me like a week before this all happened to list his house. And, long story short, we're still in contact, and I will be listing their house. They're old. They're not into the whole Zoom thing. They said, they'll wait it out. They've been getting phone calls from, and my system was just basically every month in my calendar, I have a list of people to follow up with, and I would just follow up with a call, a text, or an email. And he never responded to one message, one call, one text, and then he just called me out of the blue, which was like amazing. But so he told me that, he's like, I just have to tell you, they're in their 80s. And he's like, I have to tell you that I've been getting phone calls from agents asking me if I'm ready to sell my house. He's like, how do they know that I'm planning to sell my house? And so basically, I think that they're just calling because they're on, going by the tax records.
Of course.
And just, calling. And I said, well, you just let them know you have a realtor. So he was like, okay. So I said, that'll just, stop them from calling. So I wanted to say that. And then also on my list of people that I follow up with, potential sellers, I did the whole Easter check-in with one FSBO with $1 million Jersey City townhouse, who she kind of like wrote me off, never replied. But then when I sent the how you doing during all this, she was like, she didn't bring up the house or anything. And she was like, so thankful that, I checked in with her. And the same with another local woman, and she answered, and she was like, "Oh, I changed my mind with all this with the house." And I'm like, "I'm not calling about the house." I said, I understand when you're ready, you're ready. That's fine. And I, offered to do shopping for her because she's a friend of a friend. I offered to bring her, baked ziti or Easter food or part of my meal. And she was like, "No, that's okay, but I really, really appreciate you." So, I said, "I'll check in with you next week." So now, we'll keep following up and eventually she'll be ready. If it takes a year, to everyone else, newer agents that are doing this, I'm just saying, don't
Yeah.
give up. My point of this whole story is don't give up.
Don't give up. Tracy, I so love that. And let me ask you, how do
Yeah.
you think things would go over with this lady if you said to her, like, listen, I know that you're not ready and you don't have to sell right now. However, there are so many people who have to sell and have to buy, and I have a way that I can help them virtually. Who should I
Right.
be talking to right now that needs to buy or sell a home that you know that I should be talking to?
Right. I mean, I could, yeah, maybe in the next check-in, because the first initial one, I think we should stay away from trying to sell their house, right? Don't you agree? And then, like you said, reach out and be like, "I know you're not ready, but who do you know that might be?" Great, great idea to segue into a little business.
So I will tell you, not everyone's going to agree with what I say, but I don't believe that that first call is just a check-in, and then next time we call and try to help them, because what if we can't get them on the phone next time? I believe you
Right.
have them on the phone, and so you say to them, like, this is a check-in call. How are you? And I just want you to know that we are still helping people buy and sell houses right now. We have a way that we're doing things virtually. I understand you're not ready for it. However, if you know someone that actually needs my help right now, I want you to call me and have me reach out to them so I can
Yeah.
help them. We are helping people buy and sell homes right now. And this is your job. And
Yeah.
so I want to push you to do that because you will get opportunities. You're not getting them because you're not asking. And I promise you, if you ask, they do know people who need to buy and sell their home.
Yeah, you're right. I was just so excited because I've been texting her for months, and I was just so excited that she actually answered that,
Yeah.
that I didn't get into it, but I do agree with you. I do agree with you.
Glad that you didn't give up. I'm glad that you just kept going and you kept calling because that's what you have to do. I've told you guys
Uh-huh.
the story before. There was a for sale by owner in Ridgewood. I kept calling and calling and calling this guy, and he listed with someone else. It expired. Then I called him as an expired, and I called and I called and I called, and he listed with someone else. And then it expired again. And I still would follow up with him once a month, maybe once a quarter. 2 years later, the dude calls me and he's like, "Hey, I've been getting your letters and your emails. You keep saying you can sell my house. Come out here and show me what you can do." 2 years later, I sold
That's
his
amazing.
house in one day.
Yeah, that's
One day.
crazy.
And it was all about pricing the property. It was nothing. I'm not special. It was about price. That's it.
Yeah.
It wasn't price
Right.
correction. I was able to talk him into pricing it correctly because I knew where he was moving to, why it was important, what it would do for him, how he would feel if he was there, and what his timeline was. I had all that information. I was able to get him to price it right, and it sold. However, if I had given up on that deal, then guess what? That was $9,000 that I wouldn't have received. It wasn't a huge list. It was a small house in Ridgewood in the flood zone. It had a lot of issues. It had flooded multiple times. However, there was a buyer for it. And here's the interesting thing about the buyer. I'm still in touch with the buyer. One thing we need to start learning how to do as real estate agents is adopt the buyers. When we have listings, a lot of times the listing agents, the buyer's agents, once they have somebody buy a house, they forget about their client. So if we adopt those buyers and we reach out to them and on the anniversary of them buying their house, we send them a card and say, "Hey, congrats, it's been a year. How are you?" At the closing, if we take their settlement statement and we put it in an envelope, and at the beginning of the year, we send it to them and say, "Hey, here's your settlement statement. You're going to need this for your taxes. If you have any other questions, reach out to me." We start adopting those buyers. We know that most real estate agents don't do that. There was
Can
a
you
stat
do
done.
that? Can you do that?
Absolutely, you can do that. I do that. I do that for all my clients. At closings, I get a copy of the settlement statement. I address the envelope. I don't put a stamp on it, but I address it and I put those envelopes in my file folder. At the first of the year, I send out HUD settlement statements to everyone. You're going to need this for your taxes. I know you have the paperwork. You may not know where it is. So here's a copy of it. We should be doing it for our clients and for the other party. That's what I did. And I adapted so many clients that way because the agents got their money and kind of ran and forgot about them. I was the one person who stayed in touch.
I called a FSBO today, and he didn't keep me on the phone for too long, but he said to me, he picked up the phone like this. He goes, "Boy, you don't give up, do you?" And he left. And he goes, "I'm not." He took his house off the market.
Okay.
And I said, "I was just calling to see how you're holding up and what's just checking in with you.
I love it.
I know your house is not on the market, but that's not the reason why I'm calling. I was just calling to say hi and see how you're holding up and if you need anything." He thought that was strange.
You thought it was strange.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
That's how he answered the phone. "Boy, you don't give up, do you?"
No, I don't. And you actually want an agent like me because when you hire somebody, you're going to hire them to get your home sold, aren't you? You want an agent like me who doesn't give up, who's going to make sure from start to finish you get your home closed. So although it's off the market now, I'm going to stay in touch with you. So when you're ready, you know I'm there and you know I'm not going to give up. I'm a bulldog. I'm going to get it done for you. So whenever you're ready, I'm here. It's not a bad thing.
David, I spoke to somebody today. I showed him homes in Ridgewood 2 years ago. His budget's like 1.3 million, and so he's now living in a Hoboken condo. And he contacted me. He's been contacting me. He's like, "I'm going crazy with my 2 kids and my wife in Hoboken." You know, he's quarantined, and he's like, "This really showed that I need to find a home." But I was following with him every month. He never responded, and now. Like, give me a few weeks. I'm ready to look, even if this thing is still to look virtual tour. And like Ryan Serhant this morning, and story went. And now, of course, the price of properties is much more expensive there. But he has a story where he met a buyer who told him his budget was $3 million in 2013. He kept in touch with them. Then the guy wrote to him in 2014. Then kept writing to him for 3 years. And then in 2006, he goes, "I'm ready and my budget's now 10 million. He to him in 5 years.
Wow. I got to tell you, I heard most of what you said, but there is something either going on with your phone or interference from another person on this call where you kind of broke up. You said now
phone. She keeps highlighting maybe.
Okay. You said Tracy?
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. What do you need? Mute?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Sorry.
It's all good. So you said he ended up being a buyer for what price point? No, it's your volume. Is something going on with you, Raj? Something with your speaker?
Oh, sorry about that. I took my AirPods off. No. He was just talking about Ryan Serhant. His book said where he met somebody in 2013, continued following up with the guy for 4.5 years, and never responded to him. Responded him twice to emails, and he sent him probably 30, 40 emails, and then he finally sold him for 10 million.
That's awesome, man. Years later, 10 million.
Later, and he said he didn't even call me, he didn't write to me, and then finally one day out of the blue, he's like, "Yeah, I'm ready to buy."
So Raj just said something. I don't know if you guys got this. Who knows how to run ads on Facebook? Can I get a raise of hands? Who knows, right? So here's what Raj just said. There's somebody in Hoboken who wants to live in the suburbs and wants to buy a house. Everybody's quarantined right now, going freaking crazy with their wife and their kids. If it were me, I'd be running ads like, "Are you in quarantine right now with your wife and kids? Are you going crazy? Do you need some extra space? Do you need a man cave? Do you need blah, blah, blah?"
You need a divorce lawyer.
Exactly, that too.
You need a divorce lawyer.
Exactly. I would be running ads showing all these great properties I have in Wyckoff and Franklin Lakes. If you want to go from 1,500 square feet to 4,000, if you need some space, if you need some breathing room, we need to talk. You guys need to be running ads. Ads are so cheap right now. People are at home right now. Everybody's on Facebook right now. Run some ads and get right in their feed and show them, If they have a need, you have what they want. This is what it's all about right now. And Raj just said there are people going crazy right now in Hoboken. I'd be on YouTube right now if I didn't know how to run an ad, typing in, how do you run an ad on Facebook to target people who live in Hoboken and condos and doing the search?
Jersey City, Hoboken, Weehawken, all those are mainly apartment buildings. And
Yes.
like he told me, he's like, the last thing he said, he goes, I'm going crazy here. I've got 2 kids, 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. We're in 1,100 square feet. He goes, I don't even care anymore. I'm buying this here.
You can do it through command for those who don't know.
So here's my question. Put in the comments, who on this call right now is going to actually run that ad?
I'll do it.
I'm serious. Like when I tell you that's what we should be doing right now. All right. So everybody who's saying me and I will, once you run the ads, take a screenshot and send it to me. Because here's what I know. Raj shared a nugget. I gave you a strategy. Most people talk a good game, but then they don't do anything. Send me a screenshot. Show me you did that, because you know what? That's your buyer right there. And they may have a place they need to sell. So you might have a listing and the buy side. Okay, I'm done.
I got a closing next week, and that's actually one of my plans is to run ads on Facebook, do some stuff on LinkedIn, just to really kind of go out there. Because once I have money, I'm a happy guy.
I hear you. Teresa, your hand is raised. I don't know if that was from the last time or if you still have a question.
Yeah, no, it's from the last time.
Okay.
We did run an ad for our newest listing. It's working out extremely well. We already have 18 leads. Followed up with them. One woman's looking for a townhouse. One guy's looking to rent. So, I mean, it works. It does work.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. Are you spending a lot of money, or are you talking to like $5 or $10 to run an ad?
It's a little more than that. You'd have to ask Ryan exactly what it was. Yeah, but it's good in the grand scheme of things. You know, it's a better return on your investment than other activities.
No, I hear you. I hear you. And I've been running ads, just kind of playing around. And sometimes I'll spend $1 for one day. Sometimes I'll spend $10 over a 5-day period. It's not a lot of money, but you quickly kind of figure out what works and what doesn't work, and you don't have to spend tons of cash to learn that lesson. So I think ads are a good thing to do. So I have like 5:53. I don't like to keep you guys on for a long period of time. One thing we do on Wednesday nights, we're kind of picking a local restaurant, a local business that we can go order food from and support them. And so my daughter Taylor's been on me about getting her a calzone for some reason. So one of our neighbors owns a restaurant, so we're actually going to go support them and order some food tonight. So before I get off, I just want to make sure. I mean, there's so many people on this call, and I'm hearing from the same few. Is there someone on the call who has something they want to talk about that we can touch on really quickly that hasn't spoken already?
So I actually have a quick question about the Facebook ads.
Yes.
I'm running them. I have one running now, and it started on Monday. It's for a smaller property. I've gotten a bunch of leads, like 12 to 15 leads, but the quality of the leads are, I mean, most of them are no good. So is there a strategy to, I don't know, do you spend more money? Is there something to do in order to get a better lead? I don't know if that even makes sense, but.
Oh, it makes sense. I have someone that I'm going to have you talk to, and I'll do it offline because that's not my forte. However, I will tell you that everyone that I know who's running ads, they're getting leads, and it's a numbers game. Like you might get 30, and out of the 30, maybe 2 to 5 are decent. The other ones are trash. However, for the amount of money you're spending, if 2 or 3 or 4 actually end up panning out, I mean, it's well worth the money you're spending. So it's just a matter of, it's almost like just calling for sell by owners and expired. It's a numbers game. Only a few will end up working with you, and you have to call so many to find those few. It's that type of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I just, I've been making the calls and just, getting wrong numbers and just not getting anywhere. So I thought, I would just ask about that. So, okay.
Gotcha.
Thanks.
Gotcha. So if nobody else has anything else to cover, I want to just cover, one thing during our last 4 to 5 minutes. Because of quarantine, we all have this unique opportunity. We all have more time on our hands than we've ever had before. My question for you guys: how are you going to use that time to get better at real estate? What are you doing to really double down and make sure that when the quarantine's lifted and you hit the ground and running, you're a better real estate agent than you are right now? A big part of that is don't stop doing what you were doing before we went into quarantine. So there are still expireds, there's still for sale by owners that are out there. Our database is still there and we should be calling them. However, now that we have more time on our hands, we can be setting up campaigns on demand. We can be learning how to run Facebook ads. We can learn how to set up our YouTube channel. We can learn how to set up our Instagram channel and how to use hashtags to get our brand out there and make sure people know who we are in our town. We have all this time on our hands, and if we don't come out of this on the other side better off than we were before, it's shame on us because we have more time than we know what to do with. So turn off Game of Thrones, right? Turn off Insecure, whatever you're watching on Netflix, turn that off and plug into some things that are going to actually feed your brain. There's so many good podcasts, YouTube channels that you can be watching that will get you better at what you do. I mean, every day, you guys know me, I listen to Gary Vaynerchuk every day. And every day I grab a nugget from him on what I can be doing and I go implement. I'm making Instagram posts, I'm doing YouTube videos, I'm doing Facebook, I'm putting stuff on LinkedIn, I'm doing Q&A sessions, I'm doing Zoom meetings and putting them on Facebook. I don't know if all this stuff will work. However, I'm going to do enough of it because I have time to do it right now, and I didn't have time to do it before. And what sticks, sticks. And what doesn't work, then I move on and I do something else. But I just don't want you guys sitting there with this whole analysis paralysis, thinking of the best way to go about doing things. Done is better than perfect. I just want you to do it. I want you to get on the phones and start lead generating. We aren't making our calls. We are not calling for sell by owners and expireds. You know how I know? Guess how I know you guys aren't making your calls?
We're on this one.
No, Seth. Damn, Seth. I know you're not making them because you're not getting the appointments. You're not getting the listings. You're not getting the business. And I know other people who are. Who was on that call where the agent in Michigan got 11 listings in one day? You guys know about that?
I heard about it. I wasn't on the call though.
Well, you don't need to be on the call to know that they got 11 listings in one day. You know how they got 11 listings?
By calling.
Because they were doing their job. You guys, this is not an extended spring break. We still have a job to do. There's still people who need our help. Our job is to lead generate and problem solve. People need our help. And if we just sit back and we don't do what we're supposed to be doing, guess what? You won't get a paycheck. If you're okay with that, I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with that for myself, and you shouldn't be okay with that for yourself either, because people need your help and they're out there. I see them every day. New FSBOs come on the market every day, and they are not getting calls like they should from us. I don't care about any other agents. The people who are plugged in here are not making their calls for whatever reason it is. We're not doing our job. So keep in mind, the mornings are for making calls and establishing appointments on Zoom. The afternoons are for doing business and turning those appointments into listing opportunities where you can get listings. Our average price point out here is $500,000. If your average commission is 3% on the listing side, we're talking 15 grand every deal. I mean, what else are you doing right now that's making you 15 grand? I mean, if you're doing something, let me know. I'm interested. But most of us are like, you know, I don't have time to do that. You have time to do it. You just have to time block like you're still at work, because you are still at work. So I'm done preaching. I felt I had to say that. I see too many people on these Zoom meetings all day long. We don't need to be in Zoom meetings from 8 o'clock until 5 o'clock all day long.
David, one thing I wanted to tell you, I don't know if we ever circled back. I probably didn't circle back to you, but I did make 3 iMovies for my 3 apartment listings, and I have been shooting them everywhere. Every time someone tells me they're interested, I have my handy video, and it's perfect.
That is fantastic. So your iMovie videos, have you loaded those up to YouTube?
I have.
Okay. So,
Yep.
you know, one way to keep in touch, Tracy, with these FSBOs and expireds, create a video where you kind of talk about who you are and what you do to sell properties during quarantine, and
Okay.
send a link to your YouTube video.
Yeah, I actually, believe it or not, have a plan to do one of those videos this week. I have a lot of plans, but that is one of them to start getting getting myself out there and let people know what I do to sell homes during quarantine.
And make sure you're speaking to them. So think about a seller right now who has to sell their house. What are they thinking of? What's their mindset? And I would maybe even, I'm just coming up with this off the spot right now, so I might need to fine tune it. But I would
Okay.
say, you know, are you thinking of selling your house, or do you need to sell your house right now and you just don't know what to do due to COVID and the quarantine? You don't know if you should put your house on the market. You don't know, should you allow people to come into your home? How would you show your property? Like, you just don't know what to do. Let me
Right.
show you what we're doing to help people like you who have to sell their home. As a
Right.
matter of fact, let me just show you an example of how we're doing virtual tours and doing virtual open houses for our clients. And then just do
Okay.
like a 30-second thing and show them. And then at the
Right.
end, wrap it up and say, if you want to hear a little bit more about what I'm doing to help my clients, reach out to me, and do a call
Yep.
of action to get them to reach out to you. Something along those lines, Tracy. And I'm sure you'll find people if you're running ads with that video.
Okay. And I will that put me on the spot that gets done. Give me till Friday to get that video out.
So Tracy, are you telling me that you're going to have
Yes,
the video out by this Friday of this week?
I am. I'm not paying you $250, but I'm telling you, you have my word that this is going to be out by Friday.
Your word is all I need. All I would love for you to do, if you don't mind, is share it with me. I'd love to take a look at it.
100%.
Awesome. I can't wait to see it. I'm also
Okay.
getting on some great videos for some other agents on this call, but I'm not going to call you out. You know who you are. I want to see those videos.
I
Hey,
say
hey.
did it.
I saw yours. I did see yours. I haven't checked it yet, but I saw it came in. So thank you. Hazel, did I hear you say something?
I have a question for you.
Huh?
I want to do a video. I don't have a listing, but I was going to do something just showing my house as you suggested.
Mhm.
What do you think is the best way? I mean, outside of our phone, I want to put something out there, but I want to that I can use it for my listing as part of my pre-listing packet, right? This is how we're doing it. Like, what's the best quality that, I mean, I feel like should I be holding my phone with a like stick, or like what's the best way to get a good quality and not just put something shitty out there?
Great question. And again, I'm going to go back to what I said to you before, Hazel. Done is better than perfect. And let me tell you what I mean by that. So I'm always talking about Gary Vee. You guys are always going to hear him come out of my mouth because he is my mentor. And I heard a keynote that he spoke at, and he was talking about everyone who feels like they have to be perfect. I need the best camera. I need the best lighting. I need all this, the best microphone. And he said, go back to my earlier videos on YouTube when I did Wine Library and I did my wine tasting videos 10 years ago. He said, I looked like I was in a prisoner camp. Like, it was like doing video by candlelight. And I looked at some of his videos and they were super shitty, but guess what? It didn't matter because it wasn't about the video. It was about what he was talking about. Now, I do understand, Hazel, when you're talking about showing houses, you definitely want to make sure it looks good. Your cell phone camera is good enough. All you need to do is make sure that you do it when the sky's bright. You open up all your windows, you turn on all your lights in the house, you open up all your doors, and you just walk through the house. It doesn't have to be perfect where you have it on a gimbal where it's not shaking. There can be a little vibration there. That's okay. And when you load it up to iMovies, there's some things that you can do to kind of stabilize the video anyhow if it's a little shaky. You just need to go and walk through the house and do your video. Done is better than perfect. Use what you have. Don't start spending a lot of money. Just use what you have and do it and put that video out.
And one last bit of advice in my case, do not overthink, because overthinking has made me not do things that I want to do, and I see other people doing them and I'm getting pissed off at myself. So from now on, don't overthink, just do it.
I've been
Just do it.
overthinking this for days. And
Me
then it's
too.
always something like, oh, you know what? The weather is pretty shitty outside. I'll wait till tomorrow.
Right.
And tomorrow
Don't
the sun was out today all day and I didn't do it. So
Does it have to be every room?
oh yeah, that was my next question.
You know, Sylvia, if it's for your house and you're doing it for an example, I wouldn't do every room. I would choose a bathroom that got good lighting, the kitchen, the dining room, the living room, maybe one bedroom, and just walk around as an example. I wouldn't do the entire house because you
Okay.
also want to keep the video short. People's attention span in the beginning is not going to be very long. So if you can keep it to a minute or under, or 2 minutes or under, that's good. So I wouldn't do the entire house.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you're using it as your part of your listing presentation, because I know you want us to collect content right now,
Yep.
should we do the entire house?
It wouldn't hurt to do the entire house if you're doing that as part of a listing presentation and you want to share it with people. I would just make sure it wasn't a 10-minute video. There's no need for it to be that long.
Okay.
So like you can go through and walk through, and when you load it into iMovies, you can speed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So what I would recommend is probably doing that and speeding it up and then doing a voiceover and talking about the rooms you're going through. So maybe not talking on the video, but then doing a voiceover over the video as you talk about the rooms on iMovies. Hopefully that's not over everybody's head.
Can you do that voiceovers on iMovies?
Mhm.
YouTube it.
Yep. As they say, Google that shit. You can figure it out.
My daughter did a
It's not hard.
my daughter did a video of me. I showed a small group of friends who've been asking me how to make almond milk. And I told my daughter to do it and record it on iMovie. She edited it. And she made like this 10-minute process into a short 3 minutes. It was so cool. And, you know, I was like, "Ah, I need to pick her brain and have her help me out."
Yeah. I mean, half the things like I've been thinking, should I get on TikTok or not? And I've been trying to look at it and figure it out. My daughter's looking
Oh,
at
me
me.
too.
My daughter's like, what are you doing? Like, all you have to do is do this. I'm like, okay, well then you need to show me. Actually, I will tell you guys, we all should be on TikTok because Instagram is still doing okay. TikTok is kind of like that next platform that we should be on. Here's a caveat to that. You don't have to be on there dancing. It's not about dancing. You're a business. It's about what you share and how you share content. You want to integrate music into your content. You want to, you know, do a picture or a video and have text over it with a message, or choose songs that have a message. Like right now you're at home with your kids and there's a song called Don't Push Me Because I'm Close to the Edge. You can have fun with that song with your kids being around and you're trying to do your work. So it's all about having fun and using music. You don't have to be on there dancing. That's not the whole point.
I have a student at Montclair State University. She just did her persuasive speech on TikTok, and she was talking about it, and she gave an example of it, and she has like 100,000 followers already, and she's making it into a business. So I might tap into her and ask her to help me out.
No might about it. You absolutely should. She knows what she's doing. Why not learn from her?
Mm-hmm.
I put videos on TikTok from my kid. I have a new kitten, so she does crazy things. So I've made a few TikTok videos with her.
There you go. I have a TikTok account. I'm just not doing it yet.
I want to see those TikTok, David.
I'm overanalyzing like what to put on there, and I have a habit of like, how should I do this? How should I go about it? Like when I met my wife Michelle in Los Angeles, I used to go to her classroom. I worked for a company called Kaplan Test Prep, and she was there to get her MBA, get the training to take the GMAT exam so she could get her MBA. And I knew what class she was in. So every Tuesday and Thursday evening at 7, I would go to her classroom and I would look and see her in there. And my friend Jennifer was the instructor, and I would like, that's her, that's the one. And I just took forever to like make my move. Michelle ended up reaching out to me. Now we had met previously and I gave her my card. I'm like, I know you work at Kaplan. Here's my card. If you ever need anything, reach me. And it took me so long to like do it. She called me and invited me for coffee. And I'm like, well, damn, that's what I get for taking so long to dragging my feet, trying to make a decision on the right way to approach her. Here she is reaching out to me. it worked out,
Could have been a missed opportunity.
Hey, could have been. 19 years later, though, I mean, we're still in it to win it, but it was
Right.
just taught me that I got to start taking more action. That's for sure. That's for sure. All right, guys. So that's all I have. Unless you guys have something else, I definitely don't want to hold you guys from cooking dinner and
Go
dealing
enjoy
with
those calzones.
Got to get the calzones.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not driving. Michelle's driving. I've doing interviews for Scotch and Scripts, and I've been sitting here sipping on whiskey with you guys for an hour and a half. So I'm gonna let her drive. But I just
Your
want
girls are probably upstairs waiting for you. They're like, "Come on, what's taking so long?"
Hey, listen, like I tell them, if you're really that hungry, you know how to cook. Like, make it happen.
Especially your daughter.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for giving me your time. I appreciate you guys being on here. I hope you feel it was worth your time. I hope you got something from it. I want you to be on that morning mindset call tomorrow. I want you to come and share stories. I want to have some fun and laugh like we did last week. And more importantly, I want you guys to get after it and know done is better than perfect. Just go out there and do, and things will work out for you. So thanks again for joining. And next Wednesday, I'll see you guys.